After the college entrance exam ended, I cut off all contact, ruthlessly blocking the numbers of my fiancé and my 2 brothers. It wasn't until I received the admission letter from Thanh that I had to go back home to get my ID card, and that was when I unexpectedly walked into a grand celebration inside the villa. A party held in honor of the real heiress being accepted into a key university. My eldest brother coldly demanded, "You were jealous of NHU and secretly changed her college application to some provincial junior college. And now you still have the nerve to show your face here?" My second brother sneered, "With your pig brain, how could you ever compare to NHU? My fiancé stood protectively in front of the real heiress, his voice sharp. NHU and I have already applied to Zhang University together. As for you, someone who only got into some trash third-tier school, you wouldn't even make it through the gate. Stop clinging to me." I answered quietly, "Fine, I will." Later on, they turned Shanghai upside down searching through every university. Yet they never found a trace of me. My exam results ranked in the top 50 in the province. On the 16th, I received the admission letter from Thanh. I carefully opened the pale purple envelope. "Dear student, with this letter, we sincerely congratulate you on being admitted to Thanh University." I casually filmed a short video of myself opening the letter and posted it online. Then read through the enrollment instructions. Students were required to bring their ID card to the nearest bank to activate the bank card enclosed in the envelope to pay tuition. Reading that, I froze. Only then did I remember, when I filled out my application to escape those demons. I had hurriedly blocked everyone and moved out of the Lam family villa. But in my rush, I seemed to have left my ID card behind. The thought of the Lam villa made resistance rise in me instinctively. But paying tuition was more important. I had no choice but to take a taxi back. On the way, I could only pray silently, "Please don't let me run into any of them, my 2 brothers. That nominal fiancé, or the so-called real heiress." Yet the moment I stepped through the door, I went numb. The living room was packed with people. Both brothers were there, my fiancé, even classmates from the international school. Someone looked at me with open hostility. Who let her in? Exactly, she secretly changed NHU's application and still dares to come here? In the center of the crowd, the real heiress, Lam NHU, froze for a second when she saw me, then forced a smile. "Ah, Lam Mean, you're back?" My eyes swept over the table piled high with gifts. The gilded banner hanging above it. Celebration banquet for Miss Lam family admitted to a key university. Following my gaze, Lam NHU bit her lip awkwardly and smiled. "I got accepted by a key university in the province. What about you? Which school did you apply to?" I lowered my head and answered casually. "Tried my best, but only got into a third-tier school." I wasn't really lying on purpose. I just wasn't stupid enough to steal her spotlight at her own celebration. Otherwise my second brother and my fiancé would accuse me again of bullying her. Besides, the bruise on my neck had only faded yesterday. As for my eldest brother, he never scolded me to my face. But behind the scenes he constantly made things difficult. Hearing my answer, Lam NHU visibly relaxed. "You just didn't perform well, right? It's okay, third tier isn't that bad." But my eldest brother still frowned, clearly displeased. People always say children from poor backgrounds are sensible and hardworking. Lam Mean, you lived a hard life out there for more than 10 years. Yet you learned nothing. You can't even compare to NHU academically. Useless as expected. Fine, after summer I'll arrange for you to repeat a year. My second brother snorted. How could her pig brain ever match NHU news? Compared to them, the reaction of my former fiancé, Luke Yen, was the most intense. He immediately shielded NHU behind him and shouted at me without mercy. "What are you doing here? NHU and I have already applied to Zhang University together. Someone from a trash third-tier school like you wouldn't even pass the gate. Don't even think about clinging to me again." I let out a soft laugh. So they still hadn't realized I had already blocked all of them. Good, less trouble for me. I explained to Luke Yen. I'm not following you. I just left something here and came back to get it. Seeing he was still half doubtful, I added sincerely, you and Lam Nhu really suit each other, talented man. Beautiful woman, if I ever cling to you again, then I'm a dog. The truth was, I had never deliberately chased after him. When I was first brought back to the Lam family, my eldest brother told me that Luke Yen was my nominal fiancé and that I should try to build a relationship with him. I listened obediently, so for a time I kept following him around, becoming the laughingstock everyone called his lapdog. It wasn't until Luke Yen maliciously framed me for cheating in an exam just to defend Lam Nhu, causing me to lose my scholarship, that I finally woke up. From then on, I avoided him like the plague. Yet hearing my words now, his expression became even stranger. Ding! The elevator arrived. Excuse me. I walked past him into the elevator and went up to the 3rd floor to find my room. I had always lived in the standard guest room of the Lam house, while the best princess room had long been given to Lam Nhu. Even after living there for 3 years, I never felt any sense of belonging. I didn't own much. When I moved out, a single suitcase had been enough. I looked around. I clearly remembered tidying everything before I left, but now the soft bed was piled high with dirty delivery boxes. The pale yellow sheets crumpled and stained. I casually flipped through a few packages. Recipient: Lam Nhu. So my room had become her storage space. I took a deep breath, shoved the boxes aside, and began rummaging through the wardrobe and bedside drawers. I didn't know how long had passed when a voice suddenly came from behind me. Where have you been these past 2 weeks? I turned around. It was my eldest brother. Lam Thuong had come upstairs without me noticing. I answered instinctively. I rented a small apartment outside to stay temporarily. Hearing that, he frowned, clearly unhappy. Since you're back, stay at home for a few days. You're a member of the Lam family. How can you keep living outside? His words sounded ridiculous. Had he forgotten? He was the one who drove me away. I pointed at the pile of boxes on the bed and laughed coldly. But Lam Nhu's stuff has filled my room. Where am I supposed to sleep tonight? If you tell her to move them, I'll stay. Lin Thuong hesitated, then said awkwardly, there are plenty of empty rooms. I'll have the servants prepare another one for you. Let this one stay as storage for Nhu. Just as I expected. I shrugged. Then I'd rather stay outside. Silence hung behind me for a long time. I thought he had left. But moments later his questioning voice rang out again. What is it? You feel uncomfortable at home? Or are you still blaming me? I was quiet for a moment, then turned back with an obedient smile. Not at all, brother. Lin Thuong looked at me for a while and sighed softly. The college entrance exam is a major event in a person's life. You were jealous that Nhu got into a key university. So you touched her computer and tried to change her application to some out-of-province junior college. You were caught and still refused to admit your mistake. I only disciplined you once. And you ran away overnight. How is that not being angry at me? I knew exactly what he was referring to. On the day the exam scores were released, I still didn't even own a personal computer. I had no choice but to borrow Lam Nhu's. The room had only the two of us. She was eating ice cream while staring at me. Suddenly she smiled brightly. Guess whether Luke Yen and the brothers will believe you, or me. Then she screamed at the top of her lungs, drawing everyone over. Lin Min, why did you change my application? Lin Nhu cried as she shouted. From a key university it turned into some out-of-province junior college. She sobbed while running to the highest floor of the villa, pretending she was about to jump. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I know I'm not the biological daughter of the Lam family. I'm just an outsider. Lam Min, can I give eldest brother and my fiancé back to you? I beg you. Please don't ruin my future, please. As soon as my fiancé heard the news, he rushed over. Without hesitation he slapped me across the face, cursing me for being vicious and jealous, swearing he would never like me for the rest of his life. In the middle of the night my second brother stormed into my room, gripping my throat and warning that if I ever dared touch the real heiress again, I would be asking for death. Eldest brother threw me out of the house without mercy, determined to protect Lam Nhu. I stood there like an idiot. Not a single person was willing to listen to my explanation. Now Lam Thuong continued speaking in that righteous tone of his. That day Nhu and you took the college exam together. I admit I focused all my attention on her and neglected you, which led to you only getting into a third-tier school. After enrollment starts, just stay at home. I'll take good care of you. I stayed silent for a moment, then nodded obediently just to humor him. Yes, I'll listen to you. Anyway, as long as I went to Beijing to study, I would never need to see him or Lam Nhu again in this lifetime. Seeing me behave, Lam Thuong's expression softened. He even reached out, trying to pat my head. I instinctively stepped back to avoid him. He froze for a few seconds before a call from his secretary interrupted. Before leaving, he didn't forget to add, Nhu is kind by nature. You'll understand her one day. The moment he left, I found my ID card and immediately took out my phone to call a ride. The villa area was too remote. I waited half an hour and no driver accepted the order. Just then, a matte black Mercedes stopped in front of me. The driver was my second brother's manager, Lam Win. She rolled down the window and smiled. Little sister, need a ride? In the back seat sat Lam Yen. His face was expressionless as he glanced at me once, then looked away immediately as if he had touched something dirty, closing his eyes to rest. I hesitated for a moment, then opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. Thank you. While driving, the manager sighed. Today's celebration for Lam Nhu was really grand. Almost all the wealthy families in Shanghai showed up. Seeing I wasn't interested, she changed the topic and asked which school I had applied to. I answered cautiously, I applied to a university in Beijing. She froze for a second, then laughed cheerfully. A third-tier school in Beijing? That's still pretty good. When your second brother and I go to Beijing for performances, you'll be our local connection. I knew she was only trying to comfort me, so I smiled gratefully, but my second brother spoke coldly. Don't expect anything from her. Even if she applied to Beijing, she won't be able to go. Didn't eldest brother say he'd make her repeat a year? The atmosphere in the car instantly turned stiff. Lin Win suddenly asked, eldest brother said you've been living outside these days? I nodded. He snorted, wandering outside all day. Even your manners have gone wild. You didn't even greet me. I stayed silent for a moment, then reminded him softly, the day Lam Nhu fainted, you said I deliberately fed her something she was allergic to and sent her to the hospital. You said I wasn't worthy of being your sister and told me never to call you brother again. Lin Yen paused, then muttered, TCH, you really hold grudges over such small things. After that, no one spoke for the rest of the ride. The manager dropped me at a nearby bank. Just as I got out, Lam Yen suddenly called after me. He coughed lightly, his expression a little awkward. Anyway, you worked hard for the exam. At the beginning of August the first have a concert at the provincial stadium. This is an intersection ticket. If you want, you can go with Nhu. I took the ticket. At first I planned to throw it straight into the trash. But after thinking about it, I listed it on the black market and earned an extra 3,000 yuan. After activating the bank card and paying the tuition, I went home and opened my phone. Notifications were flashing, 99+. The video of me opening the Tsinghua admission letter had unexpectedly gone viral. In just half a day it received over 100,000 likes and was even reposted by official media. My followers increased by nearly 10,000. I immediately seized the chance to make money, changed my account name to Tsinghua Freshman Summer Diary, and started faceless live streams sharing study experiences with 10th and 11th graders. On the first day alone, viewer gifts amounted to several thousand yuan. Even a brand selling study supplies contacted me for collaboration right after the stream ended. For the next half month, I kept up a crazy schedule, 16 hours of live streaming every day. Wasting no time in between, I began controlling my diet, learned makeup and styling, and regularly went swimming and working out at the gym downstairs. I had to admit, the Lam family genes weren't bad. After some time training, my figure became slimmer, my facial features clearer, and even my eyes looked brighter. Even without makeup, I could be called a little beauty. One day during a stream, my phone accidentally tilted and revealed my face. Instantly the audience flooded in and the stream lagged. Wow, this face has such presence, stunning. Oh my god, nobody told me Tsinghua had beauty standards too. Pretty and admitted to Tsinghua, plus a study streamer with hundreds of thousands of fans. What exactly did God take away from her? July gradually came to an end. Classmates received their admission letters one after another, preparing to go their separate ways. The class group chat became lively, people occasionally arranging farewell meals. Ah, Lam Nhu. I'm so jealous you got into a key university in the province. My mom keeps nagging because I didn't do well, so annoying. Lin Nhu replied modestly. Don't say that, everyone in class is amazing. Many are even going abroad. Someone teased, stop being humble, you get to stay in the province. Have two brothers spoiling you. And after graduation you'll walk straight into Lam Corporation. Just thinking about it makes me jealous. Suddenly someone posted a screenshot from my livestream. Oh my god, Lin Min, is this you? Did you really get into Tsinghua? The group instantly exploded. She really looks like Lam Min, could it be her? Before anyone could discuss further, Luke Yen poured cold water over them. How could Lam Min get into Tsinghua? Last time Nhu asked her, she said she failed and could only go to a third-tier school. Besides, she never looked like this. If that person is really Lam Min, I'll eat shit upside down. After that sentence, the group gradually fell silent. Later Lam Nhu messaged me privately. Lin Min, are they talking about you? Where have you been lately? Why don't you come home? I didn't reply. The next day, the school held a graduation ceremony to award outstanding students. Eldest brother was there too. He wore a black suit. Not flashy at all, yet his handsome face and height over 188 centimeters made him stand out in the crowd. Lin Nhu, wearing a little Chanel-style dress, ran to his side acting spoiled. I just sat far at the back with an umbrella, watching quietly with no intention of approaching. At 4 in the afternoon the ceremony officially began. Both sides of the stage were filled with pastries and snacks ordered from high-end restaurants. Students sat in groups chatting, occasionally looking up at the performances. Soon it was Lam Nhu's turn to play the piano. She adjusted the sheet music, smoothed her dress, and smiled gracefully at the audience. At that exact moment, behind the stage, two workers stood on ladders hanging a huge banner. Good news! Warm congratulations to our student Lam Min for being admitted to Tsinghua University. The banner slowly stretched open, fluttering in the wind. Lin Nhu was still smiling elegantly, her fingers gliding over Chopin's Fantaisie Impromptu. Then she looked up, and her eyes landed on those words. In an instant her face turned pale and the music faltered. She hit several wrong notes in a row. Some classmates noticed and followed her gaze. No way, so Lam Min really got into Tsinghua? My god, that's amazing. Didn't Lam Nhu say before that Lam Min was jealous of her getting into a key university and changed her application? But now Lam Min is at Tsinghua, what would she be jealous of? The murmurs grew louder. Lam Nhu completely lost her composure. The rest of the piece was a mess, and she stumbled off the stage. The very next second, the principal called my name. Congratulations to our student Lam Min. With a provincial ranking of 46. She has been admitted to Tsinghua University. The school specially awards a scholarship of 1 million yuan as encouragement. Thunderous applause erupted. From the front row, I saw Lam Thuong staring at me in shock. I took the bouquet. After receiving the scholarship, the principal asked whether I wanted to take a photo with my family. Eldest brother truly was a seasoned businessman. He quickly hid his astonishment, adjusted his suit, and prepared to stand up. But I gently shook my head. No need. After saying that, I turned and walked off the stage. Wait. Lin Thuong hurried after me, squeezing through the crowded seats. His voice was full of dissatisfaction. Lin Min, you really got into Tsinghua and didn't tell me? In your eyes, do you still have me as your brother? I laughed softly. It's not that I didn't say anything. From the day the scores were released, the Lam family was immersed in joy over Lam Nhu getting into a 211 university. No one ever asked me how many points I got. Come home with me, he said. I'll make Nhu move her things out and give your room back. He grabbed my wrist tightly, so hard it hurt and I had to shake him off. No need, I answered calmly. I'm doing very well outside. Eldest brother choked on his words, his expression stiffening. Sensing my cold attitude, he stared at me for a long time before speaking in a serious tone. When we first brought you back, you were so obedient. You weren't like this at all. I only lowered my eyes slightly. At 5 or 6 years old, I often didn't have enough to eat or warm clothes to wear. I was frequently beaten by my adoptive father, my body never free of bruises. The hems of my uniform pants were always torn, and I was skinny like a ghost. It was Lam Thuong who pulled me out of that hopeless life. The first day I stepped into the Lam villa, the Swarovski chandeliers glittered blindingly. The central air conditioning system alone was worth tens of millions. In the kitchen there were both Western and Chinese chefs on call. Pastries available 24 hours a day. Even the chocolates casually placed on the table were stamped with the LV logo. Tall ceilings, wide doors, extravagant luxury. Back then, all I felt was fear. I looked up timidly, clumsily trying to adapt. Yet even though Lam Thuong brought me back, he didn't have much affection for me and was often absent, no matter how hard I tried to please him and Lam Win. I could always sense a vague disgust in their eyes. I tried my best to fit in. But at school, Lam Nhu led her selfish circle of friends to subtly isolate me. Even the teachers didn't like me. Aren't kids from poor families supposed to be good at studying? When you transferred in, I thought you were a top student. Turns out you didn't even know the basics of high school. A countryside school is backward after all. No one thought highly of me, but I stubbornly proved myself. In just one semester, I fought my way from near the bottom of the rankings into the top 5 of the class. I once naively thought they would see me differently. But what I got was Luke Yen leading a group of boys to lock me in the bathroom. That was when I understood, when I had bad grades. I was a country bumpkin. An idiot. When I had good grades, I was still just someone unrelated to their circle of rich young masters who would eventually study abroad. They could humiliate and bully me for Lam Nhu without consequence. The next day they would sling backpacks over their shoulders and fly overseas, never having to bear any responsibility. That day I dragged myself home, exhausted, holding my report card. I wanted to show eldest brother, hoping he would praise me, maybe change the way he saw me. But what awaited me was Lam Nhu hospitalized from a food allergy, and eldest brother's cold, disappointed gaze. He said, "No wonder your adoptive father beat you. Turns out you're so vicious it makes people sick." My nails dug deep into my palms, the pain pulling me back to reality. Clearly he had never truly liked me in the past. Yet now I found it almost laughable that I was suddenly mourning an affection that had never existed. Perhaps to Lam Thuong, the old me had been easier to control. He was still gripping my wrist tightly, I tilted my head slightly and pointed behind him. Brother, Lam Nhu is calling you. Lin Thuong turned around. I saw Lam Nhu linking arms with the homeroom teacher, smiling as she waved for him to come take photos. He hesitated for a moment, then released my hand. Wait here for me, I'll take a picture with Nhu first. We'll talk about everything else when we get home. In the end, eldest brother still chose Lam Nhu. He walked away. If this had been the past, I probably would have been heartbroken. But now I felt nothing at all. Perhaps from the day I blocked his number and that fiancé's number without hesitation. I had already stopped expecting anything from them. I turned and left. The class group chat was lively today as well. My former fiancé, Luke Yen, had always been arrogant, and there were plenty who disliked him. Now someone seized the opportunity and kept sending messages. Hey, Luke Yen, didn't you say if Lam Min got into Tsinghua you'd eat shit upside down? You still up for it? Don't play dead now. Lin Nhu immediately tried to smooth things over. We're all classmates. There's no need to push someone this far. But her words were shot down instantly. You bragged for half a month about getting into a 211 and said others were jealous of you. Maybe learn how to behave before preaching. Do you really think you're the center of the universe? Being slapped in the face like that, Lam Nhu fell silent in anger. Seeing he couldn't avoid it, Luke Yen had no choice but to tag me. Fine, I was wrong, I apologize. At Lin Min. I didn't respond. After a while he tagged me again. At Lin Min, why did you suddenly block me? I was speechless. Someone once said, you think being cut off is sudden. But in reality the other person had already endured you for a long time. That sentence perfectly described my feelings. I ignored Luke Yen. But 2 hours later, at the class gathering, I couldn't avoid running into him. Everyone was playing Truth or Dare. Luke Yen sat with Lam Nhu on his left and an empty seat on his right. When he saw me enter, he patted the spot beside him. Lin Min, come here. I walked straight past him and sat next to my deskmate, the only person in class who had ever been on good terms with me. And the reason I agreed to come. Luke Yen's face darkened slightly. My friend smiled. Congratulations, Lam Min. I clinked glasses with her, smiling back. After a few rounds, the atmosphere grew more heated and the dares became bolder. That round, Luke Yen drew a card. Kiss Lam Nhu. The moment the card flipped over, the room erupted with whistles and cheers. Lam Nhu blushed and lowered her head shyly. But Luke Yen held the card, his gaze drifting as if he was thinking about something. Then he looked straight at me. Can I switch the person? He asked. Lin Nhu's face went pale instantly. Then who do you want to switch to? Someone asked excitedly. Luke Yen stood up and walked directly toward me. Lin Min, I know you used to like me and even did many foolish things. Let me kiss you once. Forgive me and add me back as a friend, okay? I couldn't help laughing. From the corner of my eye I saw Lam Nhu clenching her teeth. Hatred filling her gaze. Sure, I replied. The room exploded with whistles again. All eyes focused on us. Luke Yen slowly leaned down. I had to admit he did have a good-looking face, long lashes lowered. Eyes seemingly full of affection. But at that moment, thud, a heavy sound. Nhu. What's wrong? Lin Nhu trembled. Her face pale, cold sweat breaking out. I'm fine, my stomach just hurts so much. She looked up at Luke Yen with tearful, pitiful eyes. He froze, frowning in irritation. I told you not to drink so many cold drinks. Only about 10 centimeters separated him from me. I leaned back and asked calmly. So, are we still kissing or not? Luke Yen hesitated. I'll take Nhu to the hospital first. I'll come find you later. Of course. I sank into the sofa and smiled faintly as Lam Nhu was carried out princess style by Luke Yen. As they passed, she glared at me, teeth grinding. I simply returned a bright smile. A few days later my desk mate invited me to a concert. I was too lazy to go out in the heat, but she begged excitedly. "It's my favorite singer, I'm treating you." I finally agreed. But the moment I arrived at the venue and saw the huge poster, I laughed bitterly. It was my second brother Lam Win's concert. Our seats were right next to the intersection. Coincidentally, Lam Nhu sat a few rows ahead, taking selfies while listening to the music. On that summer night, a cool breeze drifted through the air. Lin Win had become famous early as both singer and songwriter. Under the stage lights he played piano and sang. His profile perfect, his features handsome, the wind brushed through his hair, making the scene even more romantic. The audience waved glowing light sticks like a river of stars. Midway through the show, Lam Win raised the microphone, his voice full of pride. "My younger sister is here today. Do you want to hear her say hello?" The crowd erupted in cheers. In the intersection, Lam Nhu hurriedly took out her phone, adjusted her bangs, raised a V sign, waiting for the camera to find her. But in the next second, Lam Win smiled and clearly said, "My sister got into Thanh University. I'm really proud of her." The moment those words came out, Lam Nhu's eyes widened in horror, her fingers freezing midair. "Next, please point the camera to Area A Seat 18. The camera quickly turned toward the seat printed on the ticket Lam Win had given me. Yet on the big screen appeared an unfamiliar girl, her face stiff. When she realized Lam Win was looking at her, she covered her mouth excitedly and waved like a loyal fan. "Wait, why is it?" Lin Win froze, then hurried to the edge of the stage, bending forward to search the rows in front of him. Screams echoed through the stadium, but wherever his eyes swept, I was nowhere to be found. A few rows behind, I simply pulled my cap lower, hiding in the shadows, watching coldly. Finally the camera turned back to Lam Nhu. She forced a smile, waved awkwardly, barely covering her panic. After the concert ended, my phone immediately vibrated non-stop. It was a call from Lam Win's manager. I pressed answer. Lam Win's anxious voice came through with a string of questions. "When did you block me? I gave you the ticket, why didn't you come? Do you know how embarrassed I was? I was even planning to introduce you to my friends." I replied calmly, "You gave me a ticket, so I had to go? Second brother, you're too full of yourself. Besides, didn't you embarrass me plenty of times before?" When did I?" His words choked off, as if he had suddenly remembered all the times he had treated me. From the time he shoved me into the swimming pool, scolded me in front of the servants, to the night he defended Lam Nhu and kicked my bedroom door open in the middle of the night. I was only wearing thin pajamas then, not even any underwear, half asleep when he stormed in, pressed my neck down onto the bed, and hissed coldly, "Did you change NHU's university application? Are you tired of living?" In that moment all I felt was panic, humiliation, and fear. The powerful hands of a grown man tightened around my throat, my face and body flushing red from lack of blood, my limbs struggling helplessly. Every second I was terrified I would be strangled to death right there. I never want to experience that a second time in my life. Even after moving out, it took me a long time before I dared to sleep peacefully again. Lam Win stammered, unable to utter a single word. I hung up decisively. Summer break was short, it passed in the blink of an eye. Throughout August the first stopped caring about Na Ho Lam or Luke Yen, focusing solely on live streaming my studies, at least 16 hours a day. In the end my followers grew to 500,000, and I earned more than 100,000 yuan that summer. I already felt content. On the 26th the university announced the military training schedule, so I set off 3 days early. I never expected to run into Lam Nhu at the high-speed rail station. Didn't she like Luke Yen and enroll at the same university in the province with him? Why was she here now? Lam Nhu was wearing a short skirt. Dressed in a rebellious style. A tattoo on her arm. Tightly embraced by a blonde man. I vaguely remembered that at Lam Win's concert, this same blonde guy had been sitting next to her. The moment she spotted me, she strode over, the corner of her lips curling provocatively. She blew cigarette smoke toward my face, her voice dripping with malice. All summer Anka and Luke Yen went crazy looking for you. You must feel pretty smug. Huh? I froze, then answered honestly, no, I had no idea they were looking for me. Her chest rose and fell violently. She snapped, stop pretending. Didn't you want to steal my brothers from me? So what if you're the real daughter of Naho Lam? Weren't you still cornered in the bathroom by me and beaten like trash? Just wait and see, the ones they truly care about will always be me. The thick smoke burned my nose. I waved it away, looked at Lam Nhu in irritation, and turned to leave, but she grabbed me again. Don't tell them you met me here. Out of the corner of my eye I glanced at the man beside her. His features were decent enough, but those sharp triangular eyes made anyone uneasy. I hesitated, then finally frowned and asked, who is he? Where are you two going? Lam Nhu cut me off immediately and even kicked my suitcase. Mind your own business. Right then the station announcement called for ticket checks. I said nothing more and silently dragged my suitcase away. Beijing in summer was suffocating. The dorm was a 4-person room with bunk beds. I chose computer science. Freshman year was incredibly busy, military training followed by endless specialized courses. I had almost no time for entertainment. During the first week of training, Lam Thuong transferred 30,000 yuan into my bank account. I returned it immediately. He had his secretary call me. You're in university now, you need tuition and living expenses. Before this I was careless and forgot to send it. Nhu gets 200,000 a month as allowance. Just accept this money. I still refused firmly. I already paid tuition over the summer. You don't need to send more. And the money you spent on me during 3 years of high school. I'll pay it back later. There was a long silence on the phone. I'm your brother. Why be so formal? Between us, is there really no feeling left? Feelings? I laughed softly. Brother, feelings are like a savings jar. You never put a single coin in it. So when you want to withdraw, of course there's nothing. Lam Thuong sighed heavily, then changed the subject and asked if I had seen Lam Nhu recently. I asked what happened. He complained. Nhu said because she isn't the biological daughter. She was jealous of you and ran away from home. She even refused to enroll. Lam Win, and Luke Yen are worried sick. I hesitated, then told the truth. That at the beginning of the semester I had met her at the high-speed rail station. His voice suddenly became urgent. He said he would immediately investigate that day's train route, then sighed. I never expected Nhu to be this extreme. She used to be so gentle and kind as a child, just lacking a sense of security. I cut him off impatiently. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Wait, he hesitated, then softened his tone. Mean, at least add my WeChat back. It's really inconvenient to contact you like this. I answered coldly, not necessary. Later, in the old class group, I heard a rumor. Lam Nhu had finally returned to Naho Lam, but covered in injuries. The reason was that ever since I was admitted to Thanh Hoa, the attention of her 2 brothers and Luke Yen was no longer centered on her. Unwilling to accept it, she started dating a guy online, the blonde man. That day she ran away from home and even staged a fake kidnapping to prove how important she was. But this time it turned real. The blonde man turned out to be someone from a rival company. He used Lam Nhu to threaten Naho Lam, forcing them to hand over trade secrets. Left with no choice, Lam Thuong compromised. Lam Nhu returned in humiliation, and the Lam family suffered severe losses. Hearing this, I only let out a cold laugh. During winter break of freshman year, I signed up for the National University Entrepreneurship Competition. In the finals I unexpectedly ran into Luke Yen. Thanh Hoa was the host. While he represented Zhang University and came to Beijing to compete. As team leader I handled all funding and led my team with a small application product. We won first prize and received 2 million yuan in direct investment. When I went on stage to receive the award, Luke Yen froze for a moment, staring at the Thanh Hoa name badge on my chest. His expression dazed. After the competition ended, I turned and left calmly. Lam Mean. He mustered all his courage to call me, staring at me with a soft voice. That day, why didn't you wait for me? After taking NHU to the hospital I came back to find you immediately. But you were gone. At first I didn't understand. Then I remembered, the graduation day. The truth or dare game. The missed kiss. Didn't you choose Lam Nhu over me back then? Why do you want both now? I asked bluntly. His face turned pale. I have nothing to do with Lam Nhu anymore. She got involved with the rivals' people and became a laughingstock in Shanghai. Besides, the real daughter of Na Ho Lam, the one engaged to me, was always you. I smiled faintly, but I'm no longer interested. He staggered as if losing balance. You don't like me anymore? I answered calmly. Actually, from start to finish I never liked you. I followed you only because Lam Thuong said you were my fiancé and told me to cultivate feelings. That's all. I turned to leave. Then, can I pursue you now? He grabbed my sleeve. Before, I was blinded by Lam Nhu. I was arrogant at 18 and thought poverty was a sin. Now I know you're an outstanding girl. Can you give me another chance? I shook my head. Luke Yen, you change too fast. I can't keep up. Do you need me to remind you how you treated me? You led the bullying, mocked me as a country bumpkin, accused me of cheating and made me lose my scholarship. Remember the day Lam Nhu claimed I changed her application? You slapped me in front of everyone and said you would never like me in this lifetime. My voice was soft, but every word cut like a blade. How could I possibly like someone who treated me like that? The classroom fell silent. Luke Yen leaned against the wall, covering his eyes, his voice heavy with belated regret. I'm sorry. I said nothing more and left the empty classroom. Turning the corridor corner, I still saw him standing there, looking desperate and lost. My university life continued. In sophomore year, thanks to a self-introduction letter, I entered a research lab and began working on projects with my advisor. At the same time I kept developing the small application from the competition. Revenue stabilized at around 100,000 yuan per month. Meanwhile, Na Ho Lam began to decline. It all started with the kidnapping of Lam Nhu. Because of that incident, Lam Thuong was forced to reveal confidential business information, allowing competitors to snatch the opportunity to go public first. The company lost hundreds of millions. Internal management fell into chaos, and cash flow became a mess that still hasn't recovered to this day. I only heard bits and pieces about those things. Since freshman year, I had chosen to stay on campus during every holiday and never went back to Shanghai. Sophomore summer was the same. I was incredibly busy, maintaining grades in the top 3 of my year, working part-time in the lab, and preparing a new product. My days were packed until 8 at night before I could even eat. That evening, when I went downstairs, I saw an uninvited guest, my second brother, Lam Win. His manager stood not far away, even though Lam Win was wrapped up from head to toe, baseball cap, sunglasses, black Adidas sportswear. His tall figure and bright aura still made it obvious he was a handsome man. A few people around had already begun secretly taking photos. I looked at him for a few seconds. He walked closer, the corner of his lips lifting as he lightly flicked my forehead. What's wrong? Don't recognize me anymore? I shook my head, just surprised. I didn't expect you to come here. He smiled. Of course I came. You're really heartless. 2 summer breaks and you never went home. I happen to have a show in Beijing. So I took the chance to visit you. Aren't you going to show me around campus? His manager immediately frowned and tapped the steering wheel. You planning to pull your mask down and let people recognize you? What if fans swarm over? Don't even dream about going into Tanhoa's cafeteria. Then she turned to me gently. Don't listen to his nonsense. I've already booked a private high-end restaurant near the North Gate. Let's go there and catch up. I had to admit, a meal worth several thousand yuan truly lived up to its reputation. During dinner, Lam Win kept asking about my life. And I answered honestly, when he once again brought up the project I was working on. I looked at him and said calmly. You've changed. He paused. What? Before, at the dinner table, you only ever talked about Lam Nhu. His expression darkened immediately. Don't mention her anymore. She doesn't focus on university at all, running home every few days. Threatening to overdose. Threatening to jump off buildings. Forcing me and Anka to stay glued to her side. Since the kidnapping incident, Luke Yen broke up with her and cancelled the engagement with our family. Without the Luke family as support, Anka is busy every day trying to save the company, while she keeps blocking us from going out. Every time we step out the door, she interrogates us like a madwoman. Where are you going? Planning to abandon me? She can't compare to you at all. You're sensible and understanding. I was a little surprised but quickly understood. Lam Nhu had always hurt herself and framed me before. Nothing about this was strange. Don't you plan to take care of her? I asked. Lam Win sneered. She's just scaring people. Let her really cut her wrist and see if she dares. After dinner, I went downstairs with him. He raised his hand to rub my head. I tilted away to avoid it. His hand froze in midair. Awkward. Then he pretended to be angry. Fine, if you won't let me pat your head, at least add me back as a friend. And this summer, stop burying yourself in work. Take a break, I'll take you on a trip. I stiffened slightly and answered in a low voice. Second brother, I don't think we're close enough to travel alone together. What are you talking about? Before he could finish, a figure suddenly rushed out from the darkness, holding a knife and charging straight at me. Lam Min, so you really got into Thanh He grabbed me tightly. That familiar face dragged me straight back into the nightmare of my childhood beatings. It was my adoptive father. His hair was gray now, his face full of wrinkles. But that vicious expression hadn't changed at all. He snarled greedily. Looks like you're living pretty well. If you don't want me to make a scene at your school, give me 200,000 right now. Lam Win froze, but with the knife pressed against my neck he didn't dare move. Who are you? He asked urgently. I'm her adoptive father. I raised her for 18 years. Asking for money is only natural. Don't interfere. I forced myself to speak. When Lam Thuong took me back, didn't he already give you money? He burst into drunken laughter, reeking of alcohol. That little bit? Spent it long ago. I clenched my teeth. Who told you I was at Thanh Ha, of course it was my own daughter. Hearing that, Lam Win shouted in rage. Again, Lam Nhu. He gritted his teeth. Don't touch her, I'll transfer the money immediately. The manager pulled out her phone to prepare the transfer. My adoptive father suddenly went crazy. What are you doing with that phone? Don't call the police. He waved the knife wildly. Taking advantage of that moment, Lam Win kicked him hard from behind. His alcohol-weakened body collapsed, sprawled on the ground and soon lay motionless. Lam Win was trembling, breathing heavily as he checked the wound on my neck. His voice shook with fear and guilt. I never knew your adoptive father was this kind of person. Before coming to the Lam family, you must have suffered so much. I pushed him away and wiped the blood from my neck indifferently. I'm used to it. He stared at me, speechless. I smiled faintly. You see, second brother, you care about me now, but I can't get used to it. If back when I first entered the Lam family you had shown even a little of this gentleness, maybe I would have been moved. But after everything, The wounds you gave me aren't much different from his. His whole body stiffened. From now on, it's better if we keep less contact. I turned and walked away. Behind me came a heavy thud, Lam Nguyen. Furious, punching the wall. After I reported to the police, my adoptive father was prosecuted for intentional assault and sent to prison. Lam Nhu, considered an accomplice, was detained for investigation elsewhere. But Lam Thuong and Lam Nguyen still tried every means to get her released on the grounds of mental instability. Yet she remained ungrateful. She hysterically questioned them. Why do you have to protect Lam Nguyen? I wanted that man to ruin her life. She doesn't deserve to live better than me. Why do you all like her? Enough. A slap from Lam Thuong landed like thunder, leaving her face red and swollen. She turned away, her eyes empty. Impossible to read. That very night, she posted online accusing the Lam group of tax evasion and exposed Lam Nguyen, the famous idol, for using fan meetings to pick targets, secretly adding beautiful fans on WeChat, inviting them to hotels, one of them not even 17. If no one loves me, then let's all die together. The next day authorities formed a task force to investigate. The Lam family collapsed completely. On the day the company declared bankruptcy, I transferred 1 million yuan to Lam Thuong and went to see him in prison. The man who used to be so polished now looked haggard beyond recognition. When he saw me, his eyes flickered with excitement before turning into a bitter smile. I never thought Lam Nhu was this kind of person. I shook my head. The past doesn't need to be mentioned anymore. I've put money into your meal card. You can buy food and clothes. I also transferred 1 million to your account. The 3 years of high school tuition, I'm returning it as promised. He was silent for a long time. I'm sorry. Mean. I never cared about your feelings before. Those days in the Lam villa, you must have suffered a lot. When I get out, I will. I interrupted him. No need to say more. I gave you this money just to settle everything. Consider our debt cleared. I looked straight at him. It took me a long time to understand. I never did anything wrong. I was just never the one you chose to favor. He froze, only a heavy sigh escaping. When I walked out of the cold prison, the sun outside was dazzling. Yesterday's storm was never worth letting today's self get wet. I will live better and better. That's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video. Subscribe to China Story Tales, and stay tuned for more stories.